and this is part 2 of my video series on overview to my general psychology course and the syllabus used in my general psychology course. I'm in the document that begins Psych 100 General Psychology, Chapter 0, Module 1, Syllabus and Course Orientation. In the previous video, I got through page 5. Page 5, I was talking about typical course grades for the semester, your primary responsibilities during the course, and I had left off on page 6. I had said, look for announcements from me in your email. I'll let you know when something changes in the course, when something important is coming up. Now, also on page 6, how I teach this class. I provide a study guide to help you teach the material to yourself. Most of your grade in this class will be based on how well you've learned the material from the psychology textbook by R.H. Ettinger. I provide a study guide to help you to teach this material to yourself. I typically don't spend a whole lot of time lecturing on material exactly as it appears in the textbook. I typically will bring in different information for my lectures. I'll bring in lecture material that's related to what you're studying in the textbook, but is different theory, different study, something like that. I will lecture on material as it appears in the textbook if we're in a section that's particularly difficult, like the chapter on the biological basis of psychology and that sort of thing. Still talking about how I teach the course. Most of your grade is going to be based on this: multiple choice quizzes. Over the course of the semester, I plan to administer about 13 multiple choice quizzes, MC quizzes. Typical multiple choice quiz will consist of 20 to 30 items. About 2/3 of the items will be based on the Ettinger textbook, and about 1/3 will be based on my lecture. A given multiple choice quiz will be worth about 30 points. As I said, it'll be entirely multiple choice format. Will be administered during class meeting time. If you are meeting in person on that day, then you'll open up your laptop and take the quiz online there in the classroom. What's handy about that is I will be there to answer any questions you have about the material there in the classroom. If that day is an online day for you, then you will open up your laptop at home or wherever you happen to be, and you'll take the quiz during our class meeting time wherever you happen to be. I will have a chat panel open so that if you have any questions to ask me as you're taking the quiz, you can post your questions in the chat panel. But you will take that multiple choice quiz during class meeting time, regardless of whether it's an in-person day for you or an online day for you. These multiple choice quizzes are open book, open note. I will drop your 3 lowest quizzes at the end of the semester. So out of the approximately 13 multiple choice quizzes I administer over the semester, I'll drop your lowest 3, and therefore around 10 of those multiple choice quizzes will go into computing your course grade. In addition to those multiple choice quizzes, a smaller percentage of your grade is going to be based on this: written tests. During most weeks of the semester, I will lecture on some topic, and then we'll do at least one small group discussion exercise on some topic I lectured on that week. If this is an in-person day for you, students will discuss these discussion exercises in small groups of just 2 people each. I found that in order to do the appropriate social distancing, I need to have no more than 2 people in a group. If this is an online day for you, you will still respond to the discussion exercise. You will instead open up a Word document and start typing up your response to this discussion exercise. And yes, your typed up written response will be useful for reasons about to become clear. The discussion exercises themselves are not graded. If you're in class, I don't grade you based on the quality of the answers you generate. If you're at home, I don't grade you based on the quality of whatever you just typed up in Word. But some of these discussion exercises will lead to short written tests which are graded. The written tests are administered in Canvas quizzes. Written test is worth 10 points each. You'll take them outside of class. These won't be administered during class time, but instead they'll be administered outside of class. I'll give you some deadline by which you need to go in Canvas and take the written test. Because you're doing it on your own time, needless to say, these written tests are open book, open note. Over the course of the semester, I've tentatively planned to administer about 7 of these written tests. I plan to drop your 3 lowest scores, and therefore about 4 of these written tests will go into computing your final course grade. An additional required thing that goes into computing your final course grade is this: 1 required experiment or video report. Everybody in the class is required to submit at least 1 experiment report or video report. It's worth 5 points. Counts the same as a 5-point quiz. If you do it, and if you do it according to my guidelines, you get 5 points out of 5. If you don't do it, you get 0 points out of 5. I'll have more to say about this required experiment or video report a little bit later. Over the course of the semester, there'll be some other miscellaneous extra credit opportunities, things that allow you to earn a maximum of 30 extra credit points. I have more to say about that when we get to the syllabus. How will a typical week in this class go for you? In a typical week, as you know, half of you will attend class meeting in person at the first class meeting of the week. At the same time, the other half of you will be attending online using Echo 360 or one of our online learning management systems. So on a given class day, half of you will be attending in person, and the other half of you will be attending online via Echo 360. During the other class meeting of that week, it'll be reversed. Those of you that had been in person on the first day will instead be online. Those of you that had been online on the first day will instead be in person. It's important that you bring a laptop with you to each class meeting. Among other things, you'll need that laptop on the days that we're doing a multiple choice quiz during class meeting time. The way this class is set up, we meet 2 class meetings per week. At one of the class meetings in a given week, I'm going to lecture on new material. Depending on how far we get, we might do small group discussion exercise on that topic. That is, you'll form pairs and do a discussion exercise. This discussion exercise might then lead to a 10-point written test, and I'll tell you if the discussion exercise we're doing on that day is going to become a written test that you do outside of class. After the class meeting outside of class, you'll take the written test online on your own time if I've assigned a written test based on that discussion exercise. Regardless, outside of class, you will use my study guide to study the assigned textbook material that's been assigned for that week. I'll have more to say about these study guides in a minute. Also, outside of class, you'll study my lecture material. There is no study guide for the lecture material, but you find that the amount of lecture material is not as substantial as the amount of textbook material you need to worry about. You'll study my lecture notes outside of class. You don't have a study guide for that. So that was 1 class meeting during the week. What about the second class meeting during the week? During the first 45 to 60 minutes of that second class meeting, I'm going to lecture on new material. This is material that you'll be tested on the following week, not on the same day that I lecture on it. So, second class meeting of the week, first 45 to 60 minutes, I'm going to lecture on some new topic. We'll take a short little 5-minute break, followed by optional review session. If students in the class want to have a short review session, we can spend 5 to 15 minutes with me answering any questions you have about the material that is relevant to the multiple choice quiz you're about to take. After that short review session, if you want to have a short review session, I will administer the multiple choice quiz for that week. Multiple choice quiz for that week I alluded to earlier. It's a multiple choice format. You'll take it online using Canvas quizzes. It'll cover material from the current unit, which means the material that I've covered over the previous 2 to 4 class meetings. The multiple choice quiz you take on a given day will not cover the material I had lectured on during the first half of that class meeting. There'll never be a case where I lecture on something during the first hour and then you have to take a multiple choice quiz on it in the second hour. It'll always be the material that you studied in the previous 2 to 4 class meetings. It'll be administered to the in-person students as well as the online students. Regardless of whether this is an in-person day for you or not, you will take that multiple choice quiz. Multiple choice quiz typically consists of 15 to 30 multiple choice items. I'll typically allow you in the ballpark of 45 minutes to complete that quiz. You'll take it online using Canvas quizzes. These multiple choice quizzes will be open book, open note, but you have to work alone. You can't receive help from anyone else as you're completing these multiple choice quizzes. So first class meeting lecture, second class meeting some more lecture, and a multiple choice quiz. What happens the following week? Following week the cycle repeats. How do you get ready for these multiple choice quizzes? Given a multiple choice quiz that you take during class time, you'll be tested on my lecture material as well as textbook material that had been identified on the study guide for that unit. I won't test you on any textbook material that's not identified on the study guide. So when it comes to studying the textbook, the only concepts and terms in the textbook you need to worry about are the terms and concepts that are identified on my study guide, and I'm going to show you what I mean by study guide in a minute. Be warned, I don't give daily reading assignments. At the beginning of class meeting or at the end of a class meeting, I don't tell you I want you to read pages 500 through 540 before our next class meeting. I'll leave it to you to develop your own system for assigning reading to yourself. My advice is to start preparing for the next multiple choice quiz as soon as you've completed the last multiple choice quiz. That is, start reading at the very beginning of a unit. Plan on reading the material 1.5 times. If there's anything on the study guide or in the textbook that's giving you trouble, make a note of that and ask me about it at the review session prior to the multiple choice quiz. Now, I had said that you will always have a study guide to help prepare you for a multiple choice quiz. I'll make these study guides for an upcoming multiple choice quiz available in the Canvas module for the current unit, for the unit you're studying at that moment. In order to get the study guide for the current unit, log into Canvas, go to the section for Psych 100. From the left side, select Modules. Go to the module for the current week, and somewhere in that module there'll be a page that allows you to download the study guide for that unit. Here's an example of what a study guide will look like. This is a sample study guide. I don't believe I've released this to you yet, but I will release this to you within the next several days. I'll give it to you plenty of time before you take the multiple choice quiz on this topic. One of the upcoming multiple choice quizzes that you'll take will cover Chapter 1, Origins of Psychology, and Chapter 2, Methods of Psychology. I give you a little guidance here on how to use the study guide, and then you'll see you get into Chapter 1, Origins of Psychology. I tell you what are the terms and concepts that I want you to be familiar with for the multiple choice quiz. In some cases, I give you real specific guidance about what you do and do not need to worry about for the upcoming multiple choice quiz. For this particular multiple choice quiz, you'll be tested on Chapter 1, Origins of Psychology, Chapter 2, Methods of Psychology, end of the study guide for the multiple choice quiz on Chapters 1 and 2, end of this study guide. And this is probably a good place for me to end this part of my video series on the overview. I have more to say. The next topic that I cover is going to be the syllabus. I'm going to show you a copy of the course syllabus. I'm going to hit some of the high points of the syllabus that are particularly important. I'll begin covering the syllabus itself in the next part of this video series.